Hello guys, welcome to the new episode of Dev Diary. My name is Katrin, I'm a front-end developer living in Germany, and here we talk about front-end development, accessibility, tech news and all the chaos in between of the daily life of the front-end developer. So this funny part was added especially for newcomers, for people who just started as a front-end developers, and for example are still asking a question if the work is always chaotic. And here was an example of what happened to me last week. Last week I got a ticket from another team. And unfortunately, yes, as a front-end developer, you do not receive all the time good structured tickets with all acceptance criteria, with ready design and everything you need to get started. Sometimes even backend is not ready yet. Or sometimes you get a very vague description, and once you start digging into it, you realize that acceptance criteria don't really match the reality. Or you discover that you need an additional work from backend guys, or maybe there are issues with design. Many such questions come up, and you need to talk to different people involved in the process, like product owner, designer, backend developers, or another team. So why am I saying all this? I think there is a misconception sometimes that in software development, people imagine developers working alone, isolated in front of their computers, especially if they work remotely, for example, like I do. But in reality, the huge part of the job is communication and collaboration. So never give up on your soft skills, on your communicational skills. Always think about how you can improve your communication, because actually sometimes when you clearly can ask questions and explain what you mean, it helps to save a lot of time. And also one trick, for example, one thing that helped me in such situation when you got already some work that was already started. We finally started working with Claude in development. That's when I sent everything to him. For example, I sent the description of the ticket, branches of front-end and backend and and asked it to analyze what already was done, because otherwise I would spend a huge amount of time looking for documentation or small comments spread around the whole code base and so on, and trying to understand what else do I need to do in order to bring this ticket to the finish. Eventually, AI helped me to generate a structured breakdown of what else needed to be done from a front-end perspective. So it helped me to save a lot of time and get a clear view of everything that was already there, and what tasks or steps I need to do in order to finish this ticket. And with all that said, I think a good wisdom of this week would be always to try to read tickets carefully before you start working on them. In this specific case, it wasn't 100% possible because the ticket was already accepted by another team, so I couldn't kind of reject it and say, sorry, you need to change a lot of things there. But whenever the process allows it, make sure that you understand the acceptance criteria and that they are clear, that you have all the information you need, and don't be afraid to ask important questions before you start coding. I've learned that many problems don't come sometimes from writing a bad code, but rather from misunderstandings, missing requirements, or assumptions made too early in the process. And when you see that junior developers just rush to start writing code at once, eventually they spend more time on fixing things or rewriting everything from scratch because they didn't understand the problem in the right way. So the earlier you begin to think as a senior, the better. Because sometimes the fastest way to finish the ticket is to spend more time on understanding, reading, clarifying requirements, and asking questions. Even though if you ask something that is already mentioned there, it's also okay. It's better to double check. It will save hours of rework later. Now let's talk about accessibility, my favorite topic. One of the most common mistakes I came across in our code base this week was overusing ARIA. So for example, in this case, we have visible button text, an ARIA label, and a title attribute. And sometimes people go even further and start adding ARIA labeled by, ARIA described by, and every other ARIA attribute they can think of just in case. The funny thing is, none of it is needed. And the fix is actually very simple, just remove everything. If your button already has a meaningful visible text and you are using semantic HTML, you are done. Everything's great. Please remember the first rule of ARIA. Don't use ARIA when native HTML already does its job. ARIA should be used only when native HTML doesn't provide the necessary accessibility information. For example, icon-only buttons often need an ARIA label because there is no visible text. Or links with text like README may need additional information so users understand where the link goes. Another common mistake is using placeholders as labels. Let's say you have an input field only with a placeholder. As soon as the user starts typing, the placeholder is gone. Then let's say they get distracted by a message, a meeting, or a notification. They come back 5 minutes later and they don't remember what field they are filling out. Placeholders are not replacement for labels. They often have low contrast. They can be difficult to read for some users, and they are not consistently treated as labels by assistive technologies. The fix is easy: add a proper label. If you love placeholders, that's fine. Keep them, just don't use them instead of labels. And finally, we have the classic heading structure. I honestly don't know in what universe it makes sense to go from heading 1 to heading 4, then back to heading 2, and then jump to heading 5. Headings are supposed to create a logical structure. Every page should have a clear heading 1 that describes the page. That's usually the first thing many screen reader users look for when trying to understand what a page is about. After that comes heading 2. If you need subsections, use heading 3. If those sections have their own subsections, use heading 4, and so on. Headings are not for styling. They are the table of contents of your page. And what I love about all these 3 examples is that none of the fixes require complicated code, fancy libraries, or advanced accessibility knowledge. Most of the time, accessibility is just using HTML correctly and not overcomplicating things. I also realized something this week. I am apparently an out-of-the-loop developer, and by that I mean, while the whole world was discussing the Fable drama, I was just sitting there, writing my code, fixing bugs, and trying to finish my tickets. And then suddenly you get online and everyone is like, "Did you see what happened? This changed everything. Did you hear about Fable? drama, and I was just standing there like, what happened? So if you need some context, you can watch Fireship videos on his channel. He explains it in a very clear way. But here I wanted to tell you that it's actually a funny thing being a developer, because we talk so much about keeping up with everything, new frameworks, AI, trends, updates, but sometimes you are just focused on delivering the work and the rest of the internet is moving without you. So I am interested if you keep up with everything that is going on in tech, if you read tech news every day, or are you also sometimes completely disconnected because you are busy building things? Let me know below in the comments. And as a final section, I want to share with you one reflection. This week I realized something. I think coding stopped being fun for many people. We talk a lot about AI, productivity, new frameworks, and how technology is changing. But sometimes we forget the reason why many of us even started learning coding in the first place. Because it was fun to build things. Not every project needs to solve a huge business problem, and not everything needs to be the next startup idea. I think sometimes it is fun just to code something only because you had a random idea. For example, I found this really funny project where someone created a website explaining what a pen is made of and how it works. You can click through it, explore different parts. It's honestly just a very simple but creative idea. And I was thinking that at some point someone just had this random thought, wait, what if I create a website that explains how everyday objects are built? And then they actually built it. And that's why actually personally I decided to return to the very core of coding and to become a beginner again, experimenting, learning, and building things just because I'm curious. So I decided to learn embedded engineering. Apparently my original plan was to learn electronics, but somehow I accidentally started with embedded engineering instead. And honestly, it's already became an adventure. I was only on the installation stage, and then I somehow spilled water on my laptop, so...
You have no skills and you're a loser!
Now I have to start from the very beginning. And I don't even know if I finish the whole course or if I am going to build something huge, impressive project in the end. I think it's not the main point. The main point is enjoying the process, being curious, and allowing yourself to build things, to make mistakes, without always needing a perfect goal or a big result in the end. And I think we need more of that energy in development. Building silly things, experimenting, creating things just because we are curious. Because coding is not only about tickets, deadlines, and production bugs. It's also about creativity and enjoying the process of making something from nothing. And on that note, thank you so much for watching this episode. Let me know in the comments what front-end news surprised you this week and what kind of things you would like to see in the next episodes. And also, if you like this video, then watch the previous one. You will see the link right in the end. So have a great day, happy coding, and I see you in the next one.